Welcome to our explainer. You know, for over a decade now, television screens have been completely flooded with glowing UFOs, hovering spaceships, and a really captivating sci-fi premise that questions the very fabric of our human history.
What if everything we know about our past is just wrong? It's a huge question, right? That provocative idea is the alluring hook of the ancient astronauts theory. It makes the world feel like this massive, unsolved puzzle, offering incredibly simple, exciting answers to archaeology's deepest mysteries. I mean, were our ancestors' greatest achievements actually the work of cosmic visitors?
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the ancient alien premise, where we'll be investigating extraterrestrial claims.
So the ancient astronaut theory basically argues that humanity's greatest historical achievements were not built by our ancestors at all, but by advanced visitors from another world. And while this idea definitely makes the ancient world feel incredibly mysterious, our goal in this explainer is to impartially check the physical clues left behind. We want to see if humanity literally needed cosmic help, or if we were far more capable than these theories suggest. Moving right along to Section 2, Masterpieces of Megalithic Engineering. We're looking at Giza, Puma Punku, and Easter Island.
Let's start with the Great Pyramid of Khufu over in Giza. Get this, it's made of a staggering 2.3 million stone blocks. And because some of these blocks weigh up to 80 tons each and were transported from hundreds of miles away, theorists will often argue that moving them required some form of advanced anti-gravity technology, or maybe sonic levitation.
But contrast that proposed alien levitation with the actual brilliant human method. Archaeologists discovered the oldest written papyrus ever found, the 4,500-year-old Diary of Meir. This ancient logbook explicitly documents a massive system of man-made river canals that delivered the stones directly to the building site. Combine that with wooden sleds pulled over wet clay, which actually reduces friction by up to 50%, and suddenly alien tractor beams aren't necessary at all. It turns out our ancestors just used water, mud, and a whole lot of brainpower.
Now if we head high into the Andes to a site called Puma Punku, you'll frequently hear claims that those incredibly precise, interlocking H-blocks were laser-cut in an alien factory. But the physical evidence left at the site shows a totally grounded, highly effective three-step modular masonry process. First, the builders pounded the stone with heavy basalt hammerstones. Then they ground and polished the surfaces using fine sand and water, which is basically nature's sandpaper. Finally, to ensure these blocks survived intense mountain earthquakes, they poured molten arsenic bronze directly into carved grooves to lock the stones together, kind of like giant Lego bricks.
Okay, let's head over and see how this builds our understanding of another global mystery, the incredibly isolated Eastern Island. For centuries, Western explorers completely ignored the local explanation for how those colossal 80-ton Moai statues were transported. When asked, the local oral tradition literally just said they walked. Unwilling to believe this, modern theorists quickly jumped to the conclusion of cosmic manna or alien levitation. And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates what happens when we actually listen to indigenous history. Archaeologists realized that the abandoned statues along the transport roads were specifically engineered with heavy forward-leaning bellies and rounded bases. By simply tying thick ropes to the head, teams of just 15 to 18 people could pull side to side, pivoting the rounded base to literally walk the statue forward step by step. They engineered a waddling motion using nothing but teamwork, basic physics, and gravity. No spaceships required.
Next up, Section 3, Decoding Earthworks and Iconography. We'll be exploring the Nazca Lines and King Pakal.
Let's talk about the famous Nazca Lines down in Peru. The popular sci-fi claim is that these 800 straight lines and geometric figures were alien runways meant to be seen from the sky. But the reality? It's far more grounded. The Nazca people simply exposed bright clay by moving the dark surface pebbles aside. They scaled up handheld sketches using wooden stakes and ropes, a technique experimental archaeologists have easily replicated today. Plus, they are fully visible from the surrounding natural foothills. But here's the most important part. These lines point directly to mountain passes and underground aqueducts. The intersections are actually filled with offerings like smashed water pots and seashells. They absolutely weren't alien runways. They were sacred ceremonial pathways scaled up using simple grid geometry for vital water rituals in a harsh, dry desert.
Now, let's travel over to the Mayan city of Palenque and look at the 5-ton sarcophagus lid of King Pakal. Theorists famously love to claim this depicts a Mayan astronaut piloting a space capsule horizontally. But the crucial point about King Pakal's lid is that when you view the carving vertically, which is exactly how the Maya intended it to be seen, the whole rocket ship idea just disappears into a poetic, stunning story of life, death, and agricultural rebirth.
That supposed oxygen mask on Bakel's face? It's actually a stylized nose ornament worn by Mayan elites, representing the breath of life departing the body. And the rocket flames down at the bottom? Those represent the skeletal jaws of the Mayan underworld, known as Sibaba, consuming the king. By relying on the actual translated Mayan hieroglyphs carved right on the lid, we ensure we don't strip this literate, highly advanced culture of its deep spiritual beauty just to fit a modern sci-fi fantasy.
All right, let's jump to Section 4, Translating Ancient Myths. We'll look at Sumerian tablets and Indian epics.
First up, the Sumerian Anunnaki. Fringe claims will tell you the Anunnaki were aliens from a hidden planet called Nibiru, who came to Earth to mine gold, and that they genetically engineered humans for labor. However, real translations by actual Sumeriologists tell a completely different story. Anunnaki literally translates to princely offspring. They were simply the local pantheon of gods representing forces of nature. Actual Sumerian creation texts reveal the gods created humans from clay just to dig and maintain the exhausting, muddy irrigation canals of Mesopotamia, definitely not to mine gold for spaceships. And to debunk the claim of ancient Indian spaceships or Vimanas, let's just track how the definition of the word actually evolved over time. Back in 1500 BCE, a Vimana was just a divine chariot drawn by horses. By 500 BCE, it evolved into a poetic flying palace propelled by spiritual power. It wasn't until 1918 CE that a mystic wrote the Vaimanika Shastra, describing blueprints and Mercury engines. So those highly technical blueprints cited by ancient alien theorists? Yeah, they were actually written in the early 20th century.
As for the myth of ancient prehistoric nuclear wars in India, theorists often point to the city of Mohenjo-Daro, claiming radioactive skeletons were found holding hands in the streets after an atomic blast. But here is the real data. Only 37 skeletons were ever found across that entire massive city. They were buried in completely different layers of soil, which means they died centuries apart, and absolutely zero radiation was ever detected on their bones. It's purely a modern fabrication.
Bringing us to our final part, Section 5, Celebrating Human Ingenuity, the true story of our ancestors.
So to beautifully summarize what we've discovered today in this explainer, Giza wasn't levitation, it was canals and wet sand. Puma Punku wasn't lasers, it was basalt and bronze. Nazca wasn't runways, it was geometry and water rituals. And Easter Island wasn't cosmic mana, it was pure physics. Ascribing these architectural and artistic marvels to extraterrestrials tragically robs our resilient, brilliant ancestors of their extraordinary achievements. The physical evidence proves human potential is, and always has been, absolutely limitless.
The real detective story of human ingenuity is, honestly, so much more complex and exciting than any alien visitation. It really leaves us to wonder what other extraordinary human capabilities are just waiting to be uncovered in the dirt and sand of our past.
Please like and subscribe.